Okay, so in this video I'm going to share my thoughts about money. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as I can and as short as I can. So yeah, it's an important topic because one of probably the main cause of poverty is inflation, and arguably the number one cause of inflation is using an inflationary currency, which is what we use. Pounds, dollars, euros, and all of that stuff, they're inflationary currencies. So what I mean by inflationary currency is that central banks inflate their supply in order to stimulate growth, in order to stimulate economic activity. Okay. And it's like a drug. Okay. It's very similar to caffeine. The more they stimulate the economy in this way, the less effective it is. And so they have to keep stimulating it more and more, but whilst being careful that they don't overdose. Now, of course, we don't feel the full effects of this problem because of all of the factors that make us wealthier. Okay, there are many many things which sort of offset the damage caused by inflation, such as improved productivity and technology and so on. So even though we don't really fully feel the effects of inflation, it's important because we would be significantly richer without it. We just can't see it, and so we don't necessarily think about it. Okay, so money, yeah, it's a really important thing. Coupons. Coupons, in my opinion, are the best form of money. Okay. So, take the example of a Boots voucher, or any kind of gift card, some Amazon gift voucher, or something like that. It's a good form of money, theoretically speaking, because it is backed by stock. It is backed by value. Okay. And of course, if the company that has issued the coupon has insurance, well then you can be fairly confident that that coupon is redeemable. Yeah. Now, of course, we don't use coupons as a form of money. There isn't really a good reason why we don't, but we just don't have the incentive, I guess. Nor do we really have the technological infrastructure in place to facilitate it, although that wouldn't be too difficult. So what you would do is you would have what we might call an index fund, which is basically, so let's say you've got a coupon that is backed by a basket of coupons. Okay. So you're not just swapping different coupons. You have an exchange, and then they issue a coupon backed by the basket of coupons, which are in turn backed by stock, which are in turn, and that stock is backed by companies who are insured. There could also be some form of government insurance, but then we would have to be conscientious about any conflicts of interest in that scenario. Otherwise, governments may provide insurance, for the currencies, and then they will be investing in those currencies and insuring their own investments, and there may be some adverse side effects. But anyway, we don't have to concern ourselves with that right now. But the point is, yeah, a coupon backed by a basket of coupons. It's a very good form of money. In terms of incentives, because companies might need incentives. I mean, why would they issue their own currencies? I mean, what's the incentive for companies to issue gift vouchers? Well, it's just because people buy gift vouchers as gifts. Okay, and they're kind of pointless, aren't they? But people buy them. Yeah, but if companies could, say, pay their staff in stock, well, that might be an incentive. Okay, it might be if they wanted to raise capital to reinvest in their company, yeah, they could pay their staff in stock, which gives them access to more capital. They could also sell coupons at a discount on the provision that these coupons can't be redeemed until a certain point in the future, thus again giving them access to immediate capital. Okay, so there are incentives for companies to issue their own currencies. So yeah, I think this is all round a better system. So of course now we have cryptocurrencies, and that makes it all much easier. Yeah, because you can theoretically go online or download some app and fill out some information, and then you can create your own cryptocurrency. And so then you would need, if you wanted to pay your staff, in your own currency, then you'd ask them to download the wallet on their device. Easy enough, right? Easy enough. And it solves a lot of the issues to do with cryptocurrencies, because one of the key issues, probably the most important one, is that they're not scalable. Okay? You've got this constantly expanding ledger, and it's going to get to a point where nobody's going to want to download and maintain the ledger. It'll get too big. And then what do? Now, when companies are issuing cryptocurrencies backed by stock, it solves the problem, because if they were to run into any scalability issues, they can wait until all of the coupons which they've issued to be redeemed, and then start issue a new currency, and they could issue a new currency in a different technology. So it can keep evolving. They can keep updating their system as the tech evolves, and so it's really the only it's the only way that I can think of to address the scalability issues associated with cryptocurrencies. So, in this scenario, using this type of money, there's no inflation, really. There's no inflation. You would have no recessions. Yeah. No. I mean, you'd still have kind of stock market crashes, kind of, but they won't. The bubbles won't be anywhere near the size they currently are. Okay. One of the reasons we have, volatility in the financial markets is because for decades, central banks have been inflating the supply of money. We saw that after the 2008 financial crisis, the bursting of a subprime mortgages bubble, and central banks, they all just slashed interest rates to near zero and just flooded the markets with all this cheap credit in order to prop the markets up, on the provision that at some point in the future they will push those rates back up slowly and sort of like, without bursting any bubbles. Yeah, it's not the best strategy, but I'm not blaming anyone. It is what it is. One other point that I'll make. Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually finish that point. The point was, when you're not relying on central banks to manipulate interest rates and inflate the supply of money in order to prop the markets up, then you're not going to have this same kind of, you're not going to have these huge bubbles. You're not going to have huge housing bubbles and stock market bubbles. Of course, I understand there are many people that might be watching this that actually benefit from those bubbles. And okay, fine. But the average person doesn't want that because it's driving up costs. You see, and so it's not good for an economy overall to have these huge bubbles. So, having a currency backed by stock means that we don't have those kinds of issues. We have a much more stable economy. The last point I was going to make, and I did touch on this in my intro video when I was talking about the apps that I was working on, was about the importance of a metric. I understand that right now in our it would be very difficult, sort of impractical, to introduce a metric into the global economy. Okay, so when I say a metric, I'm talking about a constant. Okay, so we don't really have a constant which we use to measure value. We measure variables against variables. For example, a currency is a variable, and that's what we use to measure value. But I'm talking about a constant. So the constant that I would use, or I would say Bob. Okay, and that's it. It's just a word. So yeah, here in the UK, we're familiar with that term. This is 10 bob, that's 20 bob. We understand what that means, and so yeah, you just price everything in a metric, but you can use different currencies, you see. But then that means you would also have a much more accurate way of measuring inflation. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's more I could say, but I'm probably gonna leave it there. I don't want to go into too much detail. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was of interest to someone. Cheers.